Welcome to Golf and the Good Life, your guide to golf travel across the pond. I'm DJ Jones, joined by my friend and colleague Connor Evers. Connor, before we dive into today's episode, we are really kind of starting to run at full steam for the 2023 golf travel season. Things are officially underway at last, and I'm curious, what's the good word from overseas?
Yeah, everything's good. A lot of places in Scotland and Ireland are actually have really good weather right now. Upper 50s to kind of mid 60s, depending on where you're at in Scotland or Ireland or even England, which is really good. But yeah, things are starting off. Our first group left approximately 10 days ago, and groups are coming back already, and some are departing. But everything's kind of full swing, which is great. But groups are enjoying themselves and like I said, our partners across the pond are looking forward to our groups traveling across and seeing them.
Yeah, that's great to see. I've been monitoring on social media, and the weather has looked fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
North Berwick posted some pictures yesterday, and it was just clear blue sky, as far as you can see. But certainly a busy year ahead for everyone involved. I was just reading yesterday on CNBC that it's not just golf travel. A record year for international travel as a whole is ahead, and it's kind of crazy to think that because of how bananas last year was, but here we are. So just another reason as to why we're doing this and help everybody navigate it who's wanting to go overseas. But today we are going to focus on the good life side of things, and I think this is a pretty fun episode for us, focusing on a topic that we certainly love to talk about, and that's the 19th holes across the pond. This was inspired by an article that just came out in Links Magazine. Our friend Sean Tolson, who's a contributor there, he did an article on his 4 favorite golf bars in Scotland and Ireland. The ones that made the list were the Dunvegan, the Ducks Inn, the Harbor Bar in Portrush, and the bar at the Royal Golf Hotel in Dornoch. And we're going to link to that in the show notes. Go have a look. An awesome list. Obviously, all of those kind of have their own unique twist on the 19th hole. I mean, the Dunvegan and the legacy that Jack and Sheena have left there and that carries on today. The Ducks Inn, is another outstanding spot. The Harbor Bar, if you don't go see Willie Gregg while you're in Portrush, you've really missed out. And as is talked about in the article, the Royal Golf is really one of the few places I can think of where the guest is actually asked to contribute to the memorabilia, which I think is kind of neat. But the link is in the show notes. Go have a look. But we thought it would be fun to expand on this and talk about our favorite 19th holes to add to the list. So we've chosen one from each from Scotland, Ireland, and England, and then we've got one bonus pick, if you will, coming in. Connor, lead us off with Ireland and your favorite spot there.
This is great. Thanks for the intro there, DJ. And I mean, obviously you go on a trip like this for the golf, but I would say having the times in the pub would be secondary. Would you agree?
100%, if not more so.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, like DJ said, to start off, I know in that article they were talking about the Harbor Bar in Portrush, but I'm actually going to talk about the other Harbor Bar, maybe a few others throughout your journeys across the pond, but the Harbor Bar in Downings, which is close to Rosapenna. We mentioned this location in past podcasts. You can look at that in our part 1 and part 2 of Northwest Ireland. But this pub is essentially the quintessential Irish pub. It's got everything. It's got good fires. It's got a great patio outside. So if you're in the summers and late evenings, you can grab your Guinness and go outside. And they also have live music on most of the nights during the week as well. A little less in the off-peak months, but in that summer, the crack is great there. It is an amazing pub. Both DJ and I, as including my dad, was there last October and just really enjoyed it. Everyone that we asked when we were staying at Rosapenna for a few nights said, hey, where's the best place to go for a pint, afterwards, other than the resort itself. And I think 100% of everyone said the Harbor Bar in Downings just up the street is where you need to go. And we did. And we definitely did not regret driving there and going up to that pub. It was great. I also that was my dad's favorite pub in all of Ireland, as well as the best Guinness he tasted. So just add that in there too. This is his first time in Ireland as well, so first timer. Added that, but it's a great spot, and if you're in Rosapena, it's a place you definitely do not want to miss. And I think DJ, you would you'd say the same.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and what's funny is we almost didn't go. I don't know if you remember,
Hmm.
but it had been a long day and a long several days. We had played St. Patrick's and, earlier that day, and it was like, oh, do we go? Do we not go? We were kind of on back and forth and was like, you know what? When are we going to be here again? And I mean, it's probably going to be a couple of years before we're back. Let's go enjoy it.
Yeah, and I would also say that you'd have to follow them on Instagram as well. They have a really good follow there. They post a bunch too, so check it out on Instagram too before you go.
Yeah, I mean, they're great all around, and we had an awesome chat with the local guy outside, and that's what it's all about.
Mhm.
Sitting by the fire, having a Guinness, and talking about the round, and a very, like you said, the quintessential place to do it. My choice in Ireland is a little further south. Actually, it might be as far south as you can go in Ireland, and my pick is the patio at Old Head. And, the reason is that Old Head is just one of those places that is meant to be savored. And it is such a, immersive experience throughout the round of golf that it kind of can pass in a flash. You are just in sensory overload for all of the views and the incredible holes and some of the shots that you're playing and so forth. It just kind of bombards you for the whole round, and by the end of it, it can sometimes be just a blur. And so for that reason, a lot of our members, they choose to play it a second time or stay overnight or what have you, but schedule some time after your round and go out on that patio and take a deep breath and soak it all in, because the view is incredible. The food is great. They've got a great lobster roll that I had last time. There's actually an award-winning restaurant at Old Head, so it doesn't surprise me, but um, it's the perfect cap. And if you finish your round at Old Head and get in your car or get in the coach and drive away and don't spend some time on that patio, quite frankly, you will have done it wrong.
Yeah, I think you posted a couple of photos on Instagram, DJ, of that area, and I think Nick Papadakis said on Wednesday Club some of his members were there, and it's one of our on our photos. I think also on Google too of him and his members there, and it is a
Yep.
beautiful view, and as DJ said, something you don't want to miss. So that's for sure. So my second one is Scotch at the Balmoral in Edinburgh. This is a very unique bar experience, if you will, and something that I think everyone needs to go into and just even if you don't drink whiskey, just go in and check it out because it's very cool. And I would recommend again anyone doing it, but also maybe if you're stay overnight in St. Andrews and you play around a golf and then it's a transition day or a transition evening and you check in, maybe you have a chill night. I would recommend maybe doing this before or even after dinner. And essentially they have over 500 different varieties of Scottish whiskey. And what's really cool too is the people that work there, they know their stuff like the back of their hand. And so I would say, it may look that it may be a little bit pretentious or maybe even scary, even if you don't know too much about it. And being honest, I didn't know too much about Scottish whiskey going, to Scotland this trip, but wanted to learn more. And yeah, you're going to taste some and, enjoy the experience, but they're also there to provide information and for you just to get to know more about it. And you can taste different whiskeys from all over Scotland, from the lowlands to the highlands, different islands, what have you, all around Scotland. And it's kind of funny. They actually have two ladders on both sides of the bar, and the people that work there, they'll actually climb up and grab different whiskeys, and they've got a huge menu. I mean, it looks like a book. I wouldn't even call it a menu. It's just a really great experience and something you don't want to miss. If you are staying at the Balmore, it's very cool.
Yeah, I think they actually call the folks who, work at Scotch whiskey ambassadors.
Mm.
And it's a perfect term, because you could just sit and talk with them all day. And like you say, if you walk in and you don't have, this depth of knowledge on whiskey and you want to learn, they are happy to help you learn. I'm thinking back to the last time I was there. I was headed to Isla to play the Mockery, a few days later, and I was like, "You know what? I think I'll have, a Laphroaig just as a, in tribute to where I'm going next." And, the ambassador said, "Have you had Laphroaig?" And I said, "No, I haven't, and actually, I'm not sure if I've had anything from Isla." And he says, "Well, you would know if you've had something from Isla." And when he brought me the Laphroaig, I quickly understood what he meant, because there is no mistaking, the taste of those peaty, whiskeys from out west. But, awesome place. Like, Connor's dead on. If you've got some time, pop in, even if it's just for one dram. But my choice in Scotland has to be the Jigger Inn. To me, this is not just the best 19th hole in Scotland, it's the best 19th hole in the world. The location, the building itself actually used to be the station master's quarters when the railroad came to St. Andrews. Of course, the railroad's long gone, and now there's the Old Course Hotel, and it's part of the hotel. But it's right on the road hole. The patio is outdoor and just looks straight down the fairway. And the first and 18th are off kind of in the distance in the town as well. And you could literally just sit here and burn an entire day. The food is awesome. Great fish and chips. They've got a halloumi burger. If you like halloumi as I do, it's fantastic. But the tee shots for the road hole, they generally end up right in front of the Jigger Inn. So it's great to just people watch and golfer watch. And I generally go and have a Jigger Ale, which is one of only two places in the world that you can get it. The one is, of course, is the Jigger Inn. The other is Whistling Straits. Both properties are owned by the Kohler Company, but um, I think if you're in Wisconsin, you should really be drinking Spotted Cow, but that's a different podcast. But yeah, awesome spot. Go outside, sit on the patio, or even better, step over the wall. And as you're facing town, there's a bench off to the right that's up on a little knoll, just the perfect spot. Take your pint, they don't mind. But Jigger Inn, for me, number one on the list.
Yeah, it's really cool. When I was there last October, that was my first time in St. Andrews and to the Jigger Inn as well. And they do have some artwork up of showing some of the photos of the old train going through. And it's really unique to kind of see how St. Andrews has transitioned from what it was to what it is now. I did have the Jigger Ale last summer at Kohler. I was up there on a trip last July and did have a few Spotted Cows afterwards as well. So, but next up is England. And when I was in college, I was fortunate enough to study abroad in London. Went to the University of Richmond, and I was in the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea. Amazing experience, and living in that borough, which is one of the most highfalutin boroughs in all of London as a 20-something, 21-year-old was pretty cool. And our main place we went to was the Gloucester Arms, and Gloucester Arms can be reached by the Gloucester train station, tube station, I should say. Hit it from the Piccadilly line, the District or Circle line if you're into your London tube lines as well. So it's very easy to get to, and you're close to all of the different attractions around the central London area. But that was where my buddies and I went all the time. It was a great spot. And Premier League games would be on, during the weekends, and it was great. I think just a funny thing too is when you're a college student in America, studying, you go to other, maybe go to a coffee shop, if you will, to study and work on a presentation, etc. But when you're a student in England, you go to the pub and grab a pint or two, and enjoy working on your homework a little bit more. So Gloucester Arms is mine for England. And if you're in a trip in London, you go into the city, don't miss that place, and definitely give Gloucester Arms my regards.
That is really awesome. Did you run into Ted Lasso while you were at the University of Richmond?
No, I didn't. So our campus was like a secondary campus. So I didn't go out to Richmond all the way out there. I went out a couple times, but all my classes were at a kind of a subsidiary campus, if you will, in Kensington. So I didn't go. I went out there a couple of times, but didn't have any classes. Unfortunately, did not run into them.
I believe it or not, we're going on a tangent here, but it happens.
It's okay.
I rode out there my last trip in. Last time I was in London, this was just last summer during the Jubilee, and I had a free day, and I literally just rode out to Richmond and went to the pub that they sit outside of during the show, and it's a real place.
Yep.
And it was a whole lot of fun. But that's
Good.
great stuff.
Good.
And that's a great tip. Connor, not a lot of you don't really equate London as being a golf destination, although you should, given the great courses in the Heathland. But there are a lot of folks that will fly in and spend a day or two on the front end or the back end of their trip in London and see the sights while they're there. So a great golf adjacent pub, I should say. But
Absolutely.
my pick is staying in the London area, and it has to be the clubhouse patio at Sunningdale. Um, Sunningdale is kind of the quintessential English summer experience. I mean, the courses are fantastic. It is probably next to Muirfield. It's probably the best 36 hole day that you can put together. But in terms of the 19th hole situation, what makes it special to me is the last time I was there. This was right before COVID. As I'm thinking about it, I go into the bar and there's a gentleman who's, I'm going to say, probably north of 80. And the bartender is making his drink. And as I'm watching him, he's got this mug that is the size of like a Stein. It's a little shorter, but I mean, it's basically a big Stein mug. He's throwing all kinds of fruit in. Out comes the Pimm's, out comes the sparkling lemonade. This thing looks delicious. And I mean, I think I was there in August. Yeah, I was there in August. And so it's summer, and the bartender asked if I'd like anything. And I said, "Well, I don't know what that is, but I think that I'd like to have that." And the gentleman next to me says, "It's good for the soul." And so that was my first experience with Pimm's and lemonade. Just a delicious, delicious drink. And I sat out on the patio and watched some of the golfers come in. But that is what I will always remember from Sunningdale. Good for the soul, but hard to go wrong with pretty much anything at Sunningdale.
I love that. That's great. So now we're gonna have our bonuses. So we could throw in a one from anywhere across the pond. And mine is the Bill Chalk's Pub in the village of Adair. So as I mentioned a few other podcasts, I worked at Adair Manor for my last training before I became a PGA professional. And this was also during when the Ryder Cup was currently getting announced for, then it was 2026. Now with COVID, they moved it to 27. But Bill Chalk's used to be kind of the employee watering hole of Adair, and that's where we went. So if you are staying at Adair and you go into the village and you go into there, you may run into one of the employees that may look familiar in there, but it's a great spot, great patio area. They've got snooker going, and it's a great spot. Approximately a 22-minute walk from Adair Manor to Bill Chalk's. Don't ask why I know that, but I do. And like I said, I've spent a lot of time there. It's a quintessential Irish pub as well, and great owners that own Bill Chalk's, Bill Chalk himself. So it's pretty cool.
22 minutes. Now I'm sitting here and I'm wondering, why did he need to know that it was 22 minutes? Was this a pre or post work visit? But this was a hard episode in terms of narrowing down, these picks. I mean, there are so many outstanding 19th holes and bar and golf bars overseas. I mean, the 19th in Lahinch comes to mind. If you've watched Tour Sauce with No Laying Up, they paid a visit. Neil put on quite a show, as I remember. There's some great ones in Killarney. Back in St. Andrews, the St. Andrews Brewing Company is another favorite of mine. You have no shortage of choice. But if you are going overseas to play golf and you're going to the home of golf, I don't think there's another place that combines the heritage of both the game of golf and the heritage of 19th holes more than the Red Lion in Prestwick. The Red Lion goes back a couple hundred years. back in 1850 or something. That's where the members of Prestwick got together to form their club. But more importantly, in 1860, it's where the competitors in the first Open Championship gathered before and most likely after their round. And it's still there. I think we almost lost it at some point, but it's right around the corner from Prestwick. Lots of memorabilia on the walls. Another great halloumi burger. I don't know why I keep running into these, but I'm not going to complain about it. But when it comes to the heritage of the golf, it's hard to beat sitting around the corner from where they played the first Open and enjoying a pint where they did the same after. So this has been a whole lot of fun. Connor, I'm curious. We of course we focus on everything overseas, but do you have a favorite spot here stateside?
Yeah, there's quite a few quite a few that come to mind. But I would say, just like from a relaxation point and kind of what the 19th hole really means, it would be the fire pits by the Sheep Ranch Golf Course out at Bandon. So been lucky enough to go out there twice, and most recently a couple of years ago. So I played Sheep Ranch both times on the trip. It's a newer golf course, and they have these almost like glass, like I don't even know, like shields that cover the wind so they can have fire there. And Bandon Dunes has their own pale ale, and just start up a couple cigars, drink some beers, and enjoy the round. And you almost have not a 360-degree view, but for sure at least 180-degree view of the golf course and how it spans in and out to the ocean. It's just an amazing view, and I would say probably that spot. And if you've played Sheep Ranch before, I mean, I think they're going to expand, but their little clubhouse that they have, and it's kind of like a little trailer. And you just go outside, they've got food and beverage there, and it's just an amazing view. And every time I've been there, the sun's been shining, and that's what I remember the most. So there's a few, but that would probably be my favorite, just with the views, the experience, and can't complain starting up a cigar and drinking a pale ale.
Definitely a great spot, for sure. Mine was, I go back and forth on the picks, but mine's going to probably be a little bit of recency bias. I'm going to say the terrace behind the 18th at Pinehurst, number 2. We just recently had our annual buddies trip there back in December to be able to play a U.S. Open venue and then just kind of walk a few steps behind the green and enjoy lunch and beverages and so forth. Pretty great spot. But Connor, this has been a lot of fun. Anything else you want to throw in there?
No, we hit it. I think we hit it all. This has been good. I mean, like I said, you go for the golf, but the pub scene is definitely up there. Or as DJ said, maybe even more important than the golf. So it just depends on who you are.
We're going to rename this Good Life and Golf podcast, I guess, going forward. But, well, as always, thank you for tuning in here with us. We will be back with you with another episode soon. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot them our way. You can DM us on social media or send us an email, golf@haversham.com. But until then, we wish you plenty of golf at its finest and life at its best.